Good morning, all my dear participants. So we'll start. I'll start with NTPC's green hydrogen mission. Now, as you can see, of course, you can read it, but then we want to have green hydrogen in our vision. Now, very consciously, we took this decision. Those who are familiar with hydrogen business, what is happening around the world, people are debating whether they will go for blue ammonia, green ammonia, yellow ammonia, turquoise ammonia, white ammonia, hydrogen. Now, the point is, we decided that if we are going for hydrogen, it makes sense to directly jump to green hydrogen rather than follow an incremental path. Many countries have adopted various methods, but given the opportunity for India to have immense RE power, renewable power instead, why not go for directly green hydrogen? And then we want to have the complete hydrogen value chain across transport. I will explain in subsequent slides what does this mean. So transport, industry, and the power sector. So transport means normal running of buses, cars, trains. Right now, we are not thinking of aeroplanes. Then industry, when we say industry, it is green ammonia, green methanol, and so forth. When we say about power sector, first we want to concentrate on microgrids, and then as the costs go down and our momentum picks up, we'll go for storage solution using hydrogen so that we can give power to the grid. That's our vision. Now, going forward, this presentation has broadly these three: why green hydrogen is in our vision, and the hydrogen value chain of NTPC, different pilots which has been taken up, and what we intend to do in the future, and the key challenges. I explained this part partially, but as you can see in this picture, brown hydrogen is hydrogen which I get from coal, and then comes the green hydrogen from natural gas, as our previous speaker explained so beautifully, and then blue hydrogen, where essentially the carbon is captured from the flue gases, and then that electricity is used for generating hydrogen. And then the green hydrogen, pure renewable energy is used for generating hydrogen. And as you can see, so I have circled this green hydrogen thing, and this is the cornerstone for NTPC's decarbonization effort and input for energy transition. Below each of them, I just try to show how much carbon dioxide we generate for getting 1 kg of hydrogen. Now, what we've chosen is, of course, a costlier solution, but that makes a lot of sense to us and to India as a whole. Say, just giving you a comparison, say in Japan. So Japan consciously went for blue and green because they do not have the kind of luxury we are having, immense land and immense sunshine. So they can't have as much green hydrogen that we can generate. Going forward, NTPC's hydrogen value chain. So you see broadly, I have some 4 initiatives, few pilots which are already on. So one is the mobility. So just for a representation, I have shown a bus, which is of course a hydrogen bus. And then we are already into 2 pilots for methanol. These are, I will explain this. And then we are trying to have natural gas blending with hydrogen, and then microgrid. I will cover 4 slides for each of these. Now this green hydrogen mobility. So essentially, what does it mean? We'll have renewable power, and this power will be exploited for making hydrogen. This hydrogen would be subsequently stored. Now, depending upon the vehicle I'm choosing, whether these are buses or cars, the pressure would go up, and then there would be a hydrogen dispensing system, and I'll be putting that hydrogen into buses. Now we have taken 2 routes. One is Ladakh, and NTPC would be running 5 buses there and 5 buses in Delhi. Now, if all of you are following the recent event where our Honorable Power Minister announced that Delhi to Jaipur and Agra, very soon these buses would be running. So he was targeting this. Why Ladakh? Because we are following our Honorable Prime Minister's agenda for decarbonizing Ladakh. There would be reference to Ladakh. Now, Ladakh is a special country. Why? Because, of course, it is known for its pristine condition of the environment. Now, it is situated around 3,500 meters. Mostly, it is sub-zero, and immense amount of diesel, kerosene, LPG get transported to that location, and we want to decarbonize all that with hydrogen. This is a microgrid. Again, our aim, quite a lot of advancements has taken off there. So we are targeting a village in Ladakh, which will have approximately 500 households. So we'll collect renewable power, solar power, and we'll make hydrogen. That hydrogen would be stored, and in the night time, through fuel cells, all that power would be generated back through fuel cells and fed to the villagers. Now, you'll be surprised to know, though the temperature is sub-zero, most of we get hardly 5 to 6 hours of electricity, that too limited to 1 kilowatt. Who can afford? Of course, we'll have DG sets. Now, all those DG sets, I will not say these are nuisance, but they emit a lot of noise and carbon dioxide and smoke. We want to preserve the environment from this. Now, this is a huge scale, and to prepare NTPC internally, we are taking off 1 or 2 kilowatt based microgrids in the plains. And particularly microgrid would be useful for those which are not yet connected to the main grid. And Ladakh is one such area. Because there are a lot of mountains, and running a grid, I'll not say impossible, but it's very difficult and very costly. Hydrogen seems to be a viable solution. We have not yet started this, but we have a definite plan for this. So we have when I talk about natural gas, so it could be the trunk line where like our major highways, a lot of natural gas is sent from, say, Gujarat to North India. And then other than this, there are city gas distribution system like IGL, we call it normal terminology PNG, piped natural gas. So we would be injecting hydrogen. City gas seems to be a better solution because in households, we use this gas only for burning, say, cooking purpose. Now, if we mix hydrogen, it is of a lesser problem. And I can safely blend up to 5% of hydrogen into natural gas. And as much as hydrogen is pushed in, lesser the amount of natural gas which will be burned. So I'll be generating less carbon dioxide for the same heat input. This is methanol. Now there are two pilots, one at Telangana in the southern part of India, another in central part of India or western part of India. So we have two power plants there, and the beauty of this scheme is that we will be capturing carbon dioxide from the flue gas of these coal-based plants. Now, this carbon dioxide will be captured and stored. Parallelly, I will also be making hydrogen in the green way. Hydrogen and carbon dioxide, they would be put into a reactor and will be making methanol. This methanol we are planning for two-way use. One is into petrol or diesel blending, and also to put into the LPGs cylinders so that I burn lesser of LPG. Traditionally, methanol we usually say it's under chemical. This forms a raw material for production of host of chemicals for biodiesel petrol blending. Now the new way of doing this is this is a best solution for use as an energy carrier. Now, when I say energy carrier, it is not limited to internal combustion engines or burning them in a boiler, but for fuel cell applications. This methanol can further be broken down to, again, hydrogen, and this hydrogen can drive fuel cells. There are two pilots using slightly different technology, different kind of catalysts in two places. Now, when you talk about green ammonia, now the estimates are varying, but what it says that ammonia is the biggest and the best use of hydrogen. And this is again a wonder product. And all this, so this is not an, ammonia is not a new thing. We have been using ammonia since so long, but that is mainly to produce fertilizers, urea and all that. But all this green ammonia, which we'll be making, will be putting into not fertilizers, because for making those urea, I need immense amount of carbon dioxide. And I want to avoid carbon dioxide in the first place. So the scheme is I collect air, and in an air separation plant, I make nitrogen, and then I make a green hydrogen in a traditional way, renewable power, then the hydrogen and electrolyzer. This nitrogen and hydrogen goes into a reactor, and they make ammonia. We are finalizing the site where we intend to do this. This is one way of making green ammonia. Another novel area, and Denmark is quite far ahead in this, that air and surprisingly electricity, air, and water, all that can make directly ammonia through what we call it through solid oxide based electrolytic cells or electrolyzer cells. And this way I can make green ammonia, which is around 15% cheaper, less capital intensive, and much more compact. Like I said, in methanol, so traditionally ammonia use is mainly for urea production and for other few things like refrigerant or making explosives and all that. The new way which people have found out, very surprising, is as a energy carrier. Why? Because ammonia can be made into a liquid into very moderate pressure of 10 to 15 bar and only minus 33 degrees centigrade. Whereas if I want to make liquid hydrogen, I need cryogenic use, which means around 250 degrees centigrade minus and tremendous amount of pressure. And then I require special amount of vessels to ferry it across the oceans. And then this ammonia can be directly fired in IC engines, boilers, or the fuel cells. Japan has done a lot of exercise in trying ammonia to burn it, to fire it in a coal-fired boiler, and which saves coal. And it's the best way of energy carrier. This is the last slide. What essentially we are saying that how we are targeting, how we are supporting the national agenda. First of all, when we tried doing all this, there's an interesting development within NTPC that our chairman suggested that let a dedicated hydrogen group be formed within NTPC who take this. And I find myself very fortunate to be in this group. And when we're doing all this study, what we found out that the electrolyzer and the fuel cells are not available in India. Now, NTPC is not new to electrolyzers. We have been running power stations since so long, and there are so many power stations of NTPC across India, and everywhere we use hydrogen. We have electrolyzers. The point is, those electrolyzers are very small capacity. And when we are thinking of making green ammonia or the green methanol or the transport or the hydrogen injection into natural gas stream, we need immense amount of hydrogen. And those electrolyzers are not available, number one. They are not available off the shelf. Suppliers are only handful globally. Now, all that makes it very, very costly. There was a question put to my previous speaker, and he spent some time in explaining how costly it is, and all that. So that's the problem. And there is no domestic players. So I'm totally dependent on all those. Now, as a solution, we must have very, very aggressive targets for all the sectors, and then pick out which would serve best for me. Now, many countries have put in very aggressive targets. We are slightly, I'll not say laggard, but slightly slow and very conservative. And then we need large investment in the hydrogen technologies. We must have, start thinking, producing electrolyzers, fuel cells in India. And then only India can take a lead role in global hydrogen. My final statement, which you all can read, of course, and this is the last sentence, last slide. NTPC is fully committed towards fulfilling our Honorable Prime Minister's decarbonization effort for Ladakh and India in general. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Panda. It was an excellent presentation, and we got the full flavor of, where NTPC is and what are its plans.